The screen is black. Rain patters against a window somewhere in the distance. Then, a phone lights up in the darkness, casting blue shadows across a man's tired face. His thumb hovers over the send button. 6 words glow on the screen, 6 words that will change everything. He presses send. The message disappears into the void. And in that moment, Marcus Johnson has no idea that he just texted one of the most dangerous women in East Asia. A woman who doesn't forgive mistakes. A woman who doesn't forget faces. A woman who, right now, is staring at his message with eyes that have seen men disappear for far less. 11:47 p.m. Atlanta, Georgia. Marcus sat alone in his apartment, the blue light from his phone the only thing cutting through the darkness. The television murmured in the background, some late-night show he wasn't really watching. He'd been scrolling through his messages, old conversations with women who never replied anymore. Dating app matches that went nowhere. His ex-wife's last text from 3 months ago, asking about their daughter's college fund. The loneliness sat in his chest like a stone. 52 years old, divorced, one daughter who called maybe twice a month if he was lucky. Warehouse supervisor during the day, invisible man at night. This was his life now. Empty dinners, quiet weekends. The sound of his own breathing in a 2-bedroom apartment that felt like a tomb. He opened his contacts, scrolled to a number saved as Tiffany. They'd matched on a dating app 2 weeks ago. She was young, maybe too young, but she'd seemed interested. They'd exchanged a few messages. Flirty, light. She'd asked for his number, said she preferred texting to the app. He'd given it to her. She never wrote back. Tonight, the whiskey was talking. Tonight, the loneliness was screaming. Tonight, Marcus typed the words without thinking, without caring, without understanding that on the other side of the world, in a penthouse overlooking the glowing sprawl of Seoul, a woman he'd never met was about to read his message and smile. I need you, baby. I'm horny. Send. He set the phone down, took another sip, closed his eyes. By the time he opened them again, his entire world had already begun to crack. The reply came in 18 seconds. Marcus heard the buzz, picked up the phone, read the message. Who are you? And how did you get this number? His stomach dropped. No profile picture, no name. Just a number that didn't match the one he thought he'd saved. He typed back, fingers suddenly clumsy. My bad. Thought you were someone else. The typing indicator appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then the message. But I'm not someone else. So tell me. Marcus Johnson of 1247 Piedmont Avenue, apartment 3B, Atlanta, Georgia. Tell me why you're messaging me at this hour with such urgency. The phone nearly slipped from his hands. His address, his full name. How? He hadn't told anyone. He scrambled to delete the conversation, but another message arrived before he could. Don't delete it. That would be rude. And I don't appreciate rudeness. Marcus stood up, heart hammering. He walked to his window, pulled back the curtain. The street below was empty, except for a black sedan parked across the street. It hadn't been there an hour ago. As he watched, the car's headlights flashed once. Then the message came through. Do you see me now? Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Marcus had never been a brave man. He'd always been the type to avoid confrontation, to smile and nod, to go along to get along. His ex-wife used to say he had no spine. Maybe she was right. But right now, standing in his apartment with his heart trying to escape through his ribs, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pure animal terror. He typed back with shaking hands. "What do you want from me?" The reply was immediate. "For now, nothing. I'm just curious about the man who texts strangers at midnight begging for company. Tell me, Marcus, are you always this desperate? Or is tonight special?" He wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, he forced himself to breathe, to think. This was some kind of scam. It had to be. Someone spoofing numbers, trying to scare him. He decided to call the bluff. "Look, I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm not interested. You got the wrong guy." The response took longer this time, almost a full minute. Then his phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't a text. It was a photo. Marcus opened it, and his blood turned to ice. It was him, taken from outside his window, sitting on his couch, right now. The timestamp read 11:53 p.m. The message that followed was simple. "I have the right guy, Marcus. And now you're going to sit down, stop panicking, and listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Your life depends on it." He sat. What else could he do? The messages continued, each one arriving with mechanical precision. "My name is Park Ji-Hye. You've never heard of me, and that's by design. In Seoul, I run legitimate businesses. Import, export, technology consulting. Very boring, very legal. But there's another side to what I do, Marcus. A side that operates in shadows. A side that moves money and goods across borders that should never be crossed. A side that has made me very wealthy and very dangerous." Marcus read the words 3 times, trying to make sense of them. "You texted my private number. A number only 5 people in the world have access to. A number that should be impossible for someone like you to obtain. So you're going to tell me exactly how you got it." He fumbled through an explanation. The dating app, Tiffany, the wrong number saved. It sounded pathetic even to his own ears. He waited for the response, expecting mockery or threats. What came instead was worse. Silence. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Marcus paced his apartment, checking the window every 30 seconds. The black sedan was still there. 20 minutes later, his phone finally buzzed. "I believe you, which means someone gave you my number intentionally. Someone who wanted to expose me. Someone who thought a lonely American man would be stupid enough to text it at midnight. Congratulations, Marcus. You just became a pawn in a game you can't begin to understand. I don't want to be involved in anything." He typed frantically. "Please, just leave me alone. I won't tell anyone about this. I swear." The response was cold. "Too late for that. You're already involved. But here's the good news, Marcus. I'm going to give you a choice. You can help me find out who set this trap, or you can refuse, and I'll assume you're working with them. If you refuse, you'll disappear. Your daughter will never know what happened to you. Your ex-wife will tell people you probably ran off somewhere, and within a month, everyone will forget you existed. So what's it going to be?" Marcus felt bile rise in his throat. His daughter. She'd mentioned his daughter. How much did this woman know about his life? How deep did her reach go? He thought about calling the police. But what would he say? That a stranger was texting him threats? They'd laugh him out of the station. And if this woman was who she claimed to be, if she really did have the power she suggested, then involving the police might just get him killed faster. His hands trembled as he typed. What do you need me to do? Smart man. Check your email. I've sent you instructions. Follow them exactly. Don't deviate. Don't try to be clever. Just do what I tell you, and maybe you'll survive this with your life intact. Oh, and Marcus, sleep well tonight. You're going to need your rest. He opened his email with dread. The message was there, sent from an address that was just a random string of numbers and letters. The subject line read, "Your new life begins now." Inside was a document. Pages and pages of instructions. He was to create a new email account, download an encrypted messaging app, provide access to his work schedule, share his social media passwords, begin forwarding any suspicious messages or calls. He was to become her eyes and ears in Atlanta, her American contact, her unwitting spy. The last line of the email made his stomach turn. Don't try to run, Marcus. I have your daughter's address. I know she's a sophomore at Georgia State. I know she has an 8 a.m. biology class every Tuesday and Thursday. I know she walks to campus alone. I know everything about both of you. So be good, be useful, and maybe we'll all get through this without anyone getting hurt. That night, Marcus didn't sleep. He sat on his couch watching the black sedan until sunrise. When the first light broke over the Atlanta skyline, the car was gone. But the weight in his chest remained. And when his phone buzzed with a new message, he already knew who it would be. Good morning, Marcus. Did you dream of me? The days that followed blurred together in a haze of fear and exhaustion. Marcus went through the motions at work, loading boxes, signing paperwork, avoiding eye contact with his coworkers. They asked if he was feeling okay. He said he was fine, just tired. They nodded and left him alone. But he wasn't fine. His hands shook when he handled his phone. His appetite vanished. Dark circles formed under his eyes. He jumped at every notification, every car that passed too slowly on his street, every stranger who looked at him for too long. At night, the messages came, sometimes at 9 p.m., sometimes at 2 a.m., always from her, always with new demands, each one more invasive than the last, each one a reminder that she owned him now, that his life was no longer his own. He would lie awake in the dark, phone clutched in his hand, waiting for the next vibration that would send his heart into his throat. The messages came in waves, each one more demanding than the last. Tell me about the man you saw talking to the Korean woman at the grocery store. What were they discussing? Did they exchange anything? He'd replied that he hadn't seen anyone. That sparked a response that made his blood run cold. Don't lie to me, Marcus. I have security footage from the store. You walked past them twice. You looked directly at them. Now tell me what you saw, or I'll assume you're protecting them. And if I think you're protecting them, I'll have to assume you're working with them. You understand what happens then, don't you? He'd scrambled to remember, to give her something, anything. A middle-aged Korean woman in the produce section, a man in a business suit. They'd been standing too close, speaking in hushed tones. The man had handed her something small, maybe a USB drive. He'd thought nothing of it at the time. Now he typed it all out with trembling fingers, praying it was enough to satisfy her. Her next message came an hour later. Good. See how much easier this is when you cooperate? Then came the work emails. Forward me any emails from your work about international shipments. I need you to go to this address tomorrow at 6 p.m. The message included a pin drop to a warehouse district near the airport. Sit in the coffee shop across the street. Take photos of everyone who enters the building between 6 and 8. Don't be obvious about it. Don't ask why. Just do it. Marcus had done it. Sat in that coffee shop with a cold cup of coffee and his phone camera ready. Photographed men in expensive suits, women in business casual, delivery drivers, a group of what looked like college students. His hands shook so badly he could barely hold the phone steady. The whole time, he kept thinking about running, just standing up, walking out, disappearing. But where would he go? She knew everything about him. His bank, account numbers, his credit cards, his daughter's schedule. There was nowhere to run that she couldn't find him. When he'd sent her the photos, she'd responded with a single word. Perfect. No explanation. No thank you. Just that one word that somehow felt more threatening than any explicit threat could have been. He did everything she asked. What choice did he have? The alternative was unthinkable. But the weight of it was crushing him. He started losing sleep, then losing weight. Food tasted like cardboard. His reflection in the mirror showed a stranger, hollow-eyed and gaunt. His daughter called one Sunday afternoon, her voice bright with youth and innocence, and he almost broke down and told her everything. Almost confessed that her father had become a criminal, a spy, a pawn in a game that could get them both killed. Dad, you sound weird. Are you sick? No, sweetheart, just working too hard. The lie came easily now. Too easily. He'd become good at lying in the past, too. Weeks. Good at pretending everything was normal when his entire world had been hijacked. You should take better care of yourself. Maybe we could get dinner this weekend. I miss you. The words hit him like a punch to the gut. When was the last time she'd said she missed him? When was the last time he'd been a father worth missing? I'd love that, baby. I'll call you soon to set it up. Promise? I promise. Another lie. He couldn't see her. Not like this. Not when he might be bringing danger to her doorstep just by existing in her life. After they hung up, Marcus sat on his couch and stared at the wall for 3 hours. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional car passing outside. He thought about calling the police, thought about it seriously for the first time since this nightmare began. But what would he tell them? That a woman in Korea was blackmailing him? They'd want evidence. They'd want proof. And what proof did he have? Text, messages he could have written himself. Photos that showed nothing illegal. Tasks that seemed innocuous on the surface. And even if they believed him, even if they took him seriously, what then? An investigation? Interviews? His name in a police report? Ji-Hye had made it clear she had reach, had resources, had people. If he went to the police, would it save him? Or would it just sign his death warrant faster? 2 weeks into his new nightmare, Ji-Hye called him for the first time. Not a text, an actual voice call. His phone lit up at 11:30 on a Thursday night, her number glowing on the screen. Marcus stared at it for 3 rings before his shaking hand could bring himself to answer. He pressed the phone to his ear but couldn't speak. His throat had closed up. "Hello, Marcus." Her voice was smoother than he expected. Cultured, almost gentle. She spoke English with barely a trace of an accent, each word precisely articulated. It made her scarier somehow. He'd been expecting harshness, cruelty. Instead, she sounded like a professor, like someone who could discuss philosophy over tea before ordering your execution. "I'm here," he managed. "You've been very obedient. I appreciate that." Many men would have panicked by now, run to the police, tried to disappear. But you've done exactly what I've asked, when I've asked it. That tells me something about your character. "I'm doing what you asked," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Please, when does this end?" "When I say it ends." A pause. "Tell me something, Marcus. Why did you send that message? The one that started all this. What were you really looking for?" He didn't know how to answer. The truth felt too raw, too pathetic. But something in her voice, in the quiet way she waited for his response, made him speak anyway, made him say things he hadn't admitted even to himself. "I was lonely," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been lonely for so long, I can't remember what it feels like to not be lonely. My ex-wife, she left because I was boring, because I worked too much and dreamed too little, because I was safe when she wanted adventure. And maybe she was right. Maybe I am boring, maybe I am invisible. But that night, I thought maybe someone out there might want me. Even if it was just for one night, even if it didn't mean anything. I just wanted to matter to someone. To not be invisible for once in my goddamn life." The words came out in a rush, years of suppressed emotion flooding through the cracks in his carefully maintained composure. When he finished, there was only silence on the other end. He thought maybe she'd hung up. But then he heard her breathing. Slow, measured. Silence on the other end. Then softly, almost too softly to hear. "I understand that more than you know." She hung up. The conversation left Marcus more confused than ever. Over the next few days, the messages changed. They were still demands, still instructions, but there was something else woven through them. Questions about his life, his daughter, his failed marriage, his dreams back when he still had them. It felt like she was studying him, trying to understand what made him tick, and against every instinct screaming at him to stay silent. Marcus found himself answering, honestly, completely. He told her about the warehouse job he'd worked for 20 years, moving other people's dreams from one place to another, while his own gathered dust. He told her about his daughter, brilliant and beautiful and so much like her mother. It hurt to look at her sometimes. He told her about the divorce, the slow decay of a marriage that had started with so much promise and ended in mutual apathy. He told her things he'd never told anyone. And Ji-Hye listened. Through text messages at 3 a.m., through occasional phone calls that lasted hours. She never offered sympathy, never pretended to care more than she did. But she listened. And slowly, impossibly, Marcus realized something terrifying. He was starting to look forward to her messages. If you're still watching up to now, type "I'm still here" in the comment section. 3 weeks in, everything changed. Marcus was sitting in his apartment when his phone rang. Ji-Hye's number. He answered immediately. "I need to tell you something," she said without preamble, "and I need you to listen without interrupting." "Okay." "The number you texted. It was my husband's number. not mine. Her voice had changed, softer now, almost vulnerable. He died 6 years ago in Atlanta, your city. He told me he was there on business, technology consulting, meetings with American partners. But he was lying to me, not about the business, that was real, but about why he was really there. He was investigating, digging into the very people I was working with, the people who made me rich, the people who made me powerful, the people who would kill anyone who threatened to expose them. Marcus sat frozen, the phone pressed so hard against his ear it hurt. They found his body in a warehouse near the airport. Shot twice in the chest, once in the head. The police called it a robbery gone wrong. Said he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but I knew. God, I knew. He'd been sending me coded messages for weeks, telling me he was close to something big, something that would bring down an entire network. And then he was gone. Just gone. And I had to identify his body over a video call because they wouldn't let me fly out in time. I had to watch them unzip the bag and show me my husband's face, cold and gray and empty, on a screen thousands of miles away. Her voice cracked, just slightly. But Marcus heard it, heard the grief beneath the steel. I kept his number active. For 6 years, I've kept it active. I've been waiting for someone to call it, someone who might lead me back to the people who killed him. And then you sent that message. I didn't know. Marcus whispered. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I know you didn't. That's why you're still alive. When I first saw your message, I thought you were mocking me. Then I thought you were sent by my enemies. But I watched you, Marcus. I had people follow you, investigate you. And I realized you were exactly what you appeared to be. A lonely man who made a mistake. A man who reminded me of someone I lost. What do you mean? She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer than he'd ever heard it. My husband was 52 when he died. He was kind, gentle. He hated the business I was in, but he loved me anyway. He tried to protect me by investigating the very people I worked with. And it got him killed. When I saw your photo, Marcus, when I read your profile, when I learned about your life, you're the same age he was. You have the same gentle way about you, the same loneliness in your eyes. And I hated you for it. I hated you for reminding me of what I lost. Marcus felt tears on his cheeks. He didn't know when he'd started crying. But then you started answering my questions. You started showing me who you really were. And I realized something, Marcus. I wasn't testing you to see if you were my enemy. I was testing you to see if there were still good men in this world. Men like my husband. Men who were honest and afraid and trying to do the right thing even when everything was stacked against them. Are you saying? He couldn't finish the sentence. I'm saying this ends tonight, Marcus. I've been using you to trace the person who gave you that number, and I found them. They're being dealt with as we speak. You're free. You can go back to your life. Your daughter is safe. You're safe. I'm deleting every file I have on you. As far as I'm concerned, you never existed. Relief flooded through him so suddenly he thought he might collapse. But beneath it was something else. Something he didn't want to name. Ji-Hye, he said, using her name for the first time. Thank you. For letting me live. Don't thank me, Marcus. I'm not a good person. I've done terrible things. I'll do more terrible things before I'm done. But you you reminded me that not everyone in this world is terrible. So do something for me. Anything. Don't waste this second chance. Call your daughter. Tell her you love her. Quit that job that's killing your soul. Find something that makes you feel alive again. And stop being invisible, Marcus. The world needs men like you. It needs good people who are still capable of being human. Promise me you'll try. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. I promise. Good. Goodbye, Marcus. Live well. The line went dead. Marcus sat there for a long time, staring at his phone. Then, slowly, he opened his contacts, found his daughter's number. His finger hovered over the call button for what felt like an eternity. Then he pressed it. She answered on the third ring. Dad, is everything okay? It's late. Everything's fine, sweetheart. I wanted to hear your voice. And I wanted to tell you something I should have said a long time ago. I love you. I'm so proud of you. And I'm sorry I haven't been the father you deserved. There was a pause. Then his daughter's voice, thick with emotion. I love you too, Dad. Are you sure you're okay? For the first time in a long time, I think I might be. They talked for 2 hours. About everything and nothing. About her classes and his work and the life they let slip away between them. When they finally hung up, Marcus felt lighter than he had in years. The next morning, he walked into his supervisor's office and gave his 2 weeks' notice. The man looked shocked, asked if everything was all right. Marcus smiled and said he was finally putting himself first. For once. He used his savings to enroll in a community college course on social work. Something he'd always wanted to do, but never had the courage to try. On the first day of class, he sat in the back row surrounded by students half his age, and the professor asked everyone to share why they were there. When it was Marcus's turn, he stood up and said, because I spent 52 years being invisible. And I finally realized that the only person who can make me visible is me. The class applauded. A few students nodded in understanding. And Marcus sat down feeling seen for the first time in years. He started volunteering at a homeless shelter on weekends, serving meals to men who reminded him of who he could have become. Started seeing a therapist who helped him understand that loneliness isn't a personal failing. It's a human condition that requires human connection to heal. Started, slowly and carefully, rebuilding a life that felt worth living instead of just surviving. His daughter visited him one Saturday, 3 months after that final phone call with Ji-Hye. She drove down from campus, surprising him at his apartment with groceries and her bright smile. They cooked dinner together, something they hadn't done since she was 12. Pasta and marinara sauce from scratch, filling the apartment with garlic and tomatoes and laughter. They had lunch the next day at a small cafe downtown, sitting by the window and watching the world pass by. As they were leaving, his daughter squeezed his hand, and Marcus felt the years of distance between them finally begin to close. Dad, I don't know what happened to you a few months ago. Whatever it was, whatever darkness you went through, I'm just glad you came out the other side. You seem different now, lighter, more present, alive again, and I'm so grateful to have my father back. Marcus smiled, thought about a message sent in darkness, a woman half a world away who had terrified him and somehow saved him in the same breath. A second chance he never saw coming, a transformation he never knew he needed. Yeah, he said softly, I think I am. That night, alone in his apartment, Marcus checked his phone one last time before bed. There was a message from an unknown number. Just 3 words. Live well, Marcus. He stared at it for a long moment. Then he deleted it. Not because he wanted to forget, but because he finally understood. Some angels come wrapped in shadows. Some miracles arrive disguised as nightmares. And sometimes, the worst mistake of your life is exactly what you need to wake you up and remind you that you still have a life worth saving. 6 months later, Marcus was working at a non-profit that helped divorced men navigate the emotional aftermath of their failed marriages. He'd found his purpose in helping others who felt as lost as he once had. One evening, after a particularly good session with a client, he walked to his car in the parking lot. There was an envelope under his windshield wiper. No name, no return address. Inside was a cashier's check for $50,000 and a handwritten note. For your daughter's education, and for being the good man I knew you could be. Don't look for me. Don't try to thank me. Just keep being proof that good men still exist. The world needs you more than you know. There was no signature. Marcus stood there in the fading light, holding the check with trembling hands. Tears streamed down his face, but they weren't tears of fear or grief. They were tears of gratitude, for a second chance, for a stranger who became an unlikely guardian angel, for a message sent in loneliness that led him back to himself. He never heard from Ji-Hye again, never saw another black sedan outside his window, never received another mysterious message. But sometimes, late at night, Marcus would think about her, about the woman in soul who had seen him at his lowest and chosen to lift him up instead of crush him, about the strange mercy she'd shown to a man who meant nothing to her except as a reminder of someone she'd loved and lost. And he would whisper a prayer into the darkness, hoping somehow it would reach her across the ocean. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself, for believing I was worth saving, for reminding me that even broken things can be made whole again. Years passed. Marcus's daughter graduated with honors. He walked her down the aisle at her wedding, held his first grandchild in his arms and wept with joy, built a life full of connection and purpose and love. And every year, on the anniversary of that night, the night he sent the message that changed everything, Marcus would raise a glass in silent tribute to the woman who had saved him from himself. He never forgot her, never forgot the lesson she taught him. That sometimes the universe puts you exactly where you need to be, even when it feels like the worst possible place. That grace can come from the most unexpected sources. That one moment of vulnerability, one desperate reach into the darkness, can lead you to the light you didn't know you were searching for. And on quiet nights, when the world was still and his grandchildren were asleep and his daughter was happy and his life was full, Marcus would look at his phone and remember. Remember the fear. Remember the terror. Remember the transformation. And he would smile. Because sometimes, the message that almost destroys you is the same message that sets you free. Sometimes the worst night of your life is the first night of your new life. Sometimes a stranger's cruelty is actually a stranger's mercy in disguise. And sometimes, when you reach out into the darkness expecting nothing, the universe reaches back with exactly what you need, even if it's wrapped in fear and pain and lessons you never wanted to learn. Marcus never forgot that night. never forgot the terror or the transformation. But more than that, he never forgot the woman who saw him when he couldn't see himself, who pushed him when he needed pushing, who scared him into becoming brave, who gave him back his life by threatening to take it away. And though he never heard from her again, though their paths would never cross and their worlds would never touch, Marcus carried her with him. In every client he helped, in every volunteer shift he worked, in every moment he chose courage over comfort. She was there, the ghost of a woman who saved him by making him save himself. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to leave a comment below. Tell us, what would you have done in Marcus's place? Do you believe this was destiny or just a coincidence? And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more true life stories that remind us every life holds a hidden miracle. Every mistake holds a hidden blessing. Every ending holds a new beginning. Hit that like button if you stayed till the end. And remember, you're never as alone as you think you are. Sometimes the universe is just waiting for you to reach out. And when you do, you might just find that the help you need was there all along, disguised in the most unexpected form. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next story.